What's happening, y'all? It's me back at you again with another quick vid. It's a quick vid. The WBC had came out with a statement yesterday, and they wanted to clear up some things about the Wilder and Povetkin situation, particularly on Alexander Povetkin's Meldonian case. And this is an article that was put up well, actually, it's an actual statement by the WBC that's been put up on Boxing Scene. Shout out to both organizations, by the way. It says here, quote, that the WBC Championship of the World was scheduled to be contested on May 21st of this year in Russia. Now, the bout was champion Deontay Wilder's mandatory defense against mandatory challenger Alexander Povetkin. Now, the bout was the result of a purse bid the WBC has conducted in which the World of Boxing won. On May 13th, Wilder reported to the WBC that Alexander Povetkin's anti-doping test that had been taken from his April 27th sample pursuant to the WBC's clean boxing program yielded an adverse finding for a banned substance Meldonian. On May 15th, the WBC granted champion Deontay Wilder the right to make a voluntary defense of his world title, which was his fourth one, which didn't result to much, which defense took place on July 16th. In connection with that defense, champion Wilder injured his right hand and arm, which injury required surgery. As a result of his injuries and surgeries, champion Wilder is expected to be inactive until January of next year. Now, August 17th of this year, the WBC issued two separate rulings. The first ruling is the WBC board ruling related to Mr. Povetkin's anti-test adverse finding of Meldonian, which had resulted in the Wilder versus Povetkin not going forward as scheduled on May 21st. The second WBC board ruling set forth the status of the division in light of champion Wilder's injury suffered during his voluntary defense. The second ruling ordered a purse bid ceremony in connection with Povetkin versus Stavern for the interim title. The purse bid ceremony will take place. It took place already. So for those who hasn't been caught up on that, World of Boxing won that purse bid as expected, and the amount was $3.2 million. So that fight will take place in Russia. Looking forward to it. Now, since then, though, a lot of people are trying to, a lot of Povetkin defenders here, who are not so-called fans of his, they're ones who are running around saying that the WBC and WADA have fully vindicated Povetkin based off their ruling. Well, to me, I question that, and I've said this once in one of my prior videos, is that Povetkin has been provisionally cleared because if a guy has been fully vindicated, then why in the world would you strip his mandatory status away from him and order him to fight for it again? Number two, why would you order him to pay out of pocket for the to partake in the clean boxing program while other fighters don't have to pay out of pocket? So I find that very odd that for a guy to be fully vindicated, even though he has to go through those thresholds. And another thing I have to add to this. There will be a litigation battle that will come up in February between Povetkin and Wilder regarding this situation. And let me read that right here. Before I get into that, this is the second bullet point in their statement here. But let me read the first point on why the WBC wanted to clear this up and why they said themselves, based off the statement, that Povetkin has not been fully vindicated, why they feel that they still find it, they still are very suspicious of him. It says here, quote, for the avoidance of doubt, the WBC hereby states that the WBC ruling was not intended to convey and should not be construed as conveying a conclusion about whether Mr. Povetkin did or did not take Meldonian after it became a banned substance on January 1st of this year. Let me read that to you again. For the avoidance of doubt, the WBC hereby states that the ruling was not intended to convey and should not be construed as conveying a conclusion of whether Mr. Povetkin did or did not take Meldonian after it became a banned substance on January 1st of this year. So With that said, he's still being investigated. And I said that in my last video about Povetkin and the WBC's ruling on the matter. So this situation is not over yet. And my God, I don't know why we have to go through this. But let me get into the litigation part. Now, the litigation pending between Wilder and Povetkin is going to trial on February of next year. If Mr. Wilder prevails at the trial, which I find very odd because Wilder and his team are being allowed to testify in this matter, his medical team, I should say, the WBC shall afford Mr. Povetkin the opportunity to show that the trial's results were not based on that finding that Mr. Povetkin ingested meldonium on January 1st of this year. If Mr. Povetkin fails to make that case, make the showing that the WBC shall A, withdraw recognition of Povetkin as interim champion if he shall win that title, B, withdraw any mandatory challenger status that he might have, and C, impose any penalties upon Mr. Povetkin as per the clean boxing program protocol, which includes suspensions and fines. Wow. Now Povetkin has to really prove his case that he did take meldonium. And now Wilder's medical team is being involved to partake in this process, which I find very, very strange. But again, my point is this: the bottom line is that Povetkin is not fully cleared. I said he's provisionally cleared. He's allowed to fight based off certain circumstances, and he has not been, he's not been fully vindicated as many of the defenders made it out to be, and they just wanted to go out and claim victory. So, yeah, this statement right here shows that the WBC has full suspicions of Povetkin. They're highly suspicious of him, and they don't trust him. So, yeah, but hey, don't shoot the messenger, guys. I'm just reporting what this article is saying here. Now, I hope this thing does get cleared up, man. I just think that this being dragged out as long as it has really damaged boxing, particularly the heavyweight division. And ever since this whole thing fell through with Wilder-Povetkin, the whole heavyweight division has become in disarray. We have Tyson Fury with his problems, with his drug problem. We have many fights being called off, being canceled, most recently with Carlos Takam and Luis Ortiz. We had Andy Ruiz pull out against Huey Fury. We had Mir Mansour fight getting called off a couple times. His rematch with Gerald Washington and his fight with Oscar Rivas getting called off. So it's a lot of stuff going on, man. A lot of stuff. So I do hope that this thing just gets cleared as soon as possible. But again, to the Povetkin defenders out there, you guys may want to retract your suggestion that Povetkin has been fully vindicated. He's been fully exonerated from this. No, he has not. I will post a link to the article below to the statement. I strongly encourage everybody to read it. And then you could come up with your own conclusions. That's fine, but you can't twist the facts. Yeah, let me know what your thoughts are. Care to comment, share, subscribe, signing off. Peace.